Hello, Marky.
Hey, Rob. Well, are
How
you
are
back?
you? No,
Where are
I'm
you?
still,
Are you in the Haaretz?
I'm in Eretz Israel.
Ah, nice. Mazel and brocha.
Amen. I'll be
Wow.
back. I'll be back on Sunday morning. I'll be back.
Amen. Well, we'll look forward to seeing you.
Wonderful. Mazel tov. Ah,
Thank you.
fantastic. No wonder I couldn't get hold of you.
Sorry. Always, if you can't get hold of me on a normal line, just WhatsApp me. Send me a WhatsApp or.
Okay.
Okay. We have Dr. Les with us.
Wow,
And
right?
I have the privilege and the honor to meet Dr. Les. We have
It was my honor. It's the other way around. It was my honor and my privilege to meet with you, Rav.
No. Let's be honest. And I met with Dr. Les. We have a chat. We have a lot of work to do together. Dr. Les already launched 32 of the videos back. There's another 400 and
Slowly we're doing it. But Bezrat Hashem, we'll do it.
Yeah. We're working on it very hard. Dr. Les, give us the news.
Okay, so Rav, you'll know better than me, but I'll just mention something quite interesting. You know, when Nelson Mandela came to Israel, he came to visit after he was president, and he met with a lot of governmental officials, and the Israeli governmental officials said to him, you know, we've got quite a lot in common with you. So he said, what is it? And he said, you know, a lot of our ministers and government officials were also in prison. So Nelson Mandela thought for a minute and he said, but there's one big difference. He said, I went to prison before I went into government. So the truth is today, the Supreme Court, they actually made a ruling that Derry, that he can't be a minister because he's under, you know, he went to prison and there was a tax evasion, there was a whole lot of things. And the Supreme Court unanimously, and what I've been speaking to a lot of people, Ashkenazi, Sephardi, everybody agrees that he really shouldn't be a minister because, you know, there's a cupboard for the government and you have to set an example. So we don't know what's going to be happening because Shas is a very large part of this coalition. And I think people should put the country first. I really believe that we need leaders like Menachem Begin, leaders that really want to put the country before their personal. So we must just daven, and because this country really needs good leadership. So Rav, if you could expand on that, you being in Israel, your thoughts. But I think it's a good point that we really need to have good leaders that have Yirat Shamayim, leaders that care about Am Yisrael and the nation before their own interests. That's my personal view.
Be'ezrat Hashem, all I can say that HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you know, he's in control of the world.
Yeah.
Everything has come from him. And we'll see what's going to happen. You know.
Wonderful.
אל תפתחו בנדיבים, בבן אדם שאין לו תשועם.
So true.
Ben Adam is here today, tomorrow is not here. No.
Hashem runs the world. Hashem runs the world. Absolutely.
Yeah. And that's what we have to remember all the time. Yeah. And Be'ezrat Hashem, if we remember that, everything will be good. That's what we have to. That's what we have to remember. Be'ezrat Hashem. Before I forget, Mark, I don't know if you can see me. I have your stuff with me. I make sure that I got it. Okay. So Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, ve'Hashem alenu berachamav yaviach. Rabotai, I don't remember all the name. Whatever I remember, I'm going to put. I would like to take the opportunity just to say welcome again. I really missed you all that I couldn't give the show in because every time that I look, there's a load shedding and it was upsetting me. But Baruch Hashem, tonight there's no load shedding. So we're going to delegate the show in health of Lior Bat Miriam, Menashe Naji Ben Farha, Harav Avraham Ben Marina, Harav Shlomo Yehuda Ben Dalia, Harav Moshe Ben Devora, Harav Moshe Ben Bayabatia, Mordechai, David, Ben Leah, Shayna, Kayla, Bat Hannah, please God, refuah shlema to all of them, to all of you and all of us, Be'ezrat Hashem. Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach. We are in the second parsha of Parashat Vayeira. I'm going to do an introduction and then we'll start the parsha, and then our friend Jeffrey going to read for us. In the year 2477 from the creation, Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron actually approached Pharaoh by the command of Kadosh Baruch Hu that allowed Bnei Israel to go to the wilderness. They must allowed Bnei Israel to go to the wilderness, okay, to daven, to pray to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for 3 years. And that time, Moshe Rabbeinu was in the age of 80. Aaron HaKohen was in the age of 83, okay? And that was in a month of Tammuz. Remember the month of Tammuz. After that, HaKadosh Baruch Hu told Moshe Rabbeinu, listen, perform certain things in the front of Pharaoh and his advisors. And that's what Moshe Rabbeinu performed. He performed certain things that he needed to do as HaKadosh Baruch Hu commanded him. And he threw the stick, and immediately the sorcerers also done that. They didn't have a problem with that. And the stick, okay, turned to a stake or to alligator, whatever you want to call it, taninim in a Torah way. And that's what's happened. They created more. But the miracle happened that the stick of Aaron eaten the sticks of the sorcerers, okay? After that, in the month of Av, here start the plagues. The first plague, that was the plague of Makat Dam, okay? The plague of Dam started. Funny enough, you're not realizing the months because we usually not looking at the months. What's happened? Sorry, I'm gonna move my, I think that you're gonna see me much better like this. Yeah, much better, much better. And in the month of Av was the first plague in Rosh Chodesh Av. Every plague came in Rosh Chodesh, you have to remember that. Rosh Chodesh Elul came the plague of Dam Tzfardea. That means the plague of Tzfardea. After that, in Rosh Chodesh Tishrei, okay, came the following years. That means in the year 2448 from the creation, okay, came the plague of Kinim. And the plague of Kinim, here the hard workmanship stopped. That means the children of Israel didn't have to go anymore to work. After that, in Rosh Chodesh Heshvan came the plague of Arov. Arov, we're going to speak about it a lot. We're going to explain what does it mean. Then came in Rosh Chodesh Kislev the plague of Dever. In Rosh Chodesh Tevet came the plagues of Shin, that's boiled. Okay, Arov is wild beast, while Dever is pestilence. Okay, in Rosh Chodesh Shvat, okay, came Makat Barad. Okay, that's the 7th plague. And in that plague, you have to understand that in this plague, it's the only time that Pharaoh said that the Almighty, okay, he accepted that the Almighty, he's the creator, and he's the righteous, and he's the wicked, okay? We all know that every third plague was no warning, okay? That means Makat Dam, Tzfardea was a warning. Makat Kinim was no warning. It just arrived, boom, okay? Also, we see in this parsha something very interesting. We see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually, in this parsha, brought on him the first 7 plagues. Be'ezrat Hashem, in Parashat Bo, that we're going to share together, we see that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought another 3 plagues, and then he redeemed the Jewish people, and that was the end for the hard workmanship. Now, Be'ezrat Hashem, we're going to start the show. Be'ezrat Hashem, na'aseh v'natzliach, v'Hashem alenu berachamav yarviach. Vayidaber Elohim el Moshe, vayomer elav, ani Adonai.
God spoke to Moses and said to him, I am Hashem.
Okay, I want you to focus with me. Look what it said. Vayidaber Elohim El Moshe, Vayomer la, Ani Adonai, I am God. What's the Hidush here? All the Mefarshim trying to understand what exactly happening in this verse. What's the Hidush here? The Almighty speak to Moshe. And then he say, I'm God. What's happening here? The Mefarshim looked at that verse and they have many questions. The first question, if you look, the Parsha start with the word Elohim. Elohim, it means the attribute of judgment. The verse ending with it say, Ani Adonai, I'm your God, the attribute of mercy and compassion. What's happening here? The Mefarshim ask. Why does it start, first of all, with the attribute of judgment, and then you move to the attribute of mercy and compassion? What's the Hidush here? What are you trying to tell me here? So first of all, let's understand, where do we learn that the word Elohim refers to the attribute of judgment? To learn that it's a Gemara in Masechet Brachot, page 60, folio 2. There Hazal explained that the word Elohim referring to the attribute of judgment. Rashi HaKadosh, actually, in the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, in page 17, folio 2, right at the beginning, okay? And a commentary of Rashi on the Gemara in Masechet Rosh Hashanah, in page 17, okay, folio 2, he explained that the word Adnut is Adonai, okay? That's actually referring to the attribute of mercy, okay? More mercy than compassion. Okay, so now we have to understand, why does it start like this? So I'm going to bring Be'ezrat Hashem numbers of explanation just to understand the first verse. So Rashi HaKadosh, Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki, he born in the city of Troy 982 years ago in the north of France. Okay, I need, let me just flick here. Just to check something. I'm going to mute everyone. Okay, there's some voice. After that, is everyone muted himself? No, I'm going to mute everyone. Yes, muted. Okay. Jeffrey, you just don't forget to unmute yourself, okay? And he said like this, that actually we have to understand why the Almighty actually start the verse with the attribute of judgment. Because we know in a previous parsha, as you all know, Moshe Rabbeinu said to the Almighty, Lama re'ota la'am hazeh? Why did you actually harm that nation? That means Moshe Rabbeinu come and complain to the Almighty, how come, since me and Aaron gone together to Pharaoh, Pharaoh changed his mind and actually he hardened the work on Bnei Israel. Since we gone to Bnei Israel, okay, Pharaoh changed his mind and he make the work much harder. How did he make it? By that he make sure that now Bnei Israel have to prepare the bricks. That's mean, in this verse we see that the verse starts with the attribute of judgment, that here HaKadosh Baruch Hu speak very firmly with Moshe Rabbeinu, very strong. Okay, that's mean that it's come to tell us, you know why does it start with the attribute of judgment, Elohim? Because Moshe Rabbeinu complained to the Almighty, since we gone to speak to Pharaoh, I see that everything become much more hardened. That means that Pharaoh changed his mind. He become more hard. It didn't change anything, the opposite. We see that different. Here come HaKadosh Baruch Hu and said to him, Dafka, because Pharaoh made his work, the burden of work, much more harder, the redemption coming. Okay? That's the idea of Rabbi Shlomo Yitzhaki. That means Rashi HaKadosh. Another opinion that I'm going to bring is the opinion, Rabotai, funny enough, that's the opinion of what his name? I forgot. He's sitting over Haim HaKadosh, Rabbi Haim ben Attar. Rabbi Haim ben Attar says something very extremely. Rabbi Haim ben Attar, first of all, just to give you again history about him, I'm sure that you all know, but just for those that doesn't remember, Rabbi Haim ben Attar, born in the city of Sali. Sali is a city in Morocco. He born in Morocco around 326 years ago. And in his commentary on our verse, he said that something very interesting. You know, that he said that first of all, you must understand, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you have to understand that no harsh thing can come. That's mean. Say Rabbi Haim ben Attar, you must understand and you must know that the yoke of bondage that looks to us like a judgment, okay, is to us it's look like a judgment. But in a matter of fact, he said, it's actually mercy and compassion. That means by that Pharaoh actually now hardened his heart and decide that now the work going to be hardened. By that, the Bnei Israel have to prepare their own bricks to build the city of Pitom and Ramses. That's mean that as much that things getting harsher, the redemption is closer. What does it mean? Listen to that. And that's maybe going to help us in South Africa to understand. When things getting much more hard, in South Africa at the moment. And analogy for us to understand, a woman when she's pregnant at the beginning, no, it's not so painful. I mean, she has bilious, she has everything. I don't know it, Baruch Hashem, because I'm not a woman. But it's not as hard. It's not as hard as when she enter the 9 months, you know. Then everything start become uncomfortable. And then towards the end, just before she delivered is the contraction and the pain that's coming with that. And just before the baby come out, there is the final pain. That's what come and say Rabbi Haim ben Attar. Rabbi Haim ben Attar come and explain to us. As a matter of fact, you must understand, by that Pharaoh actually changed his mind now, and he make the work harder in Bnei Israel, you have to understand that was for good. Where did he come with that idea? He bring the opinion what the prophet Micha said. The prophet Micha say like this. The prophet Micha say in his book in chapter 3 in verse 38, he said like this, Mepi Elyon lo titze hara. From the mouth of the Almighty, you're not going to see any bad thing happening. And we see that. We learn from here that something very important, by that Bnei Israel now have to prepare their own bricks, that's to show us, okay, and to teach us that there's no more hard work, okay, going to be for too long. I saw a different idea that brought by the Arab Ben Zion Muchafi. Arab Ben Zion Muchafi bring gematria, and he explained it like this. And he said that if you take the gematria of the word Elohim, okay, it will give you gematria of 86, okay? That means it's come to tell you that the hard work that Bnei Israel have to work is only 86 years. Nachon that Bnei Israel was in Egypt for 210 years. But the hard labor that they have to work. It was only 86 years. Okay, how do you work it out? That was only 86 years. He said, come on, I'll explain to you. Miriam, the sister of Moshe Rabbeinu, she born when the Egyptian decide to put the Jewish people in slavery. And that's why they call her Miriam. Her father called her Miriam, Milshon Merirut. Merirut, it's bitterness. Why did he say that? Because in that time, the Egyptians start to make the Jewish life so hard and so bitter that he called her Miriam. Say, Rabbi Ben Zion Mutzafi, he said, work it out. Moshe Rabbeinu was in the age of 80. Aaron was in the age of 83. Miriam was in the age of 86. That's me. And now everything changed. Only for 86 years, the Jewish people was in hard slavery. So he come to tell you, it actually was for better. He said, what does it mean for better? The same la. He taking the words of the Or HaChaim HaKadosh, and he said by that it was only 86 years. HaKadosh Baruch Hu actually had mercy on us. And that's why the verse ending with what? Ani Adonai. The attribute or the character trait of mercy. HaKadosh Baruch Hu had mercy on the Jewish people, that instead of 400 years, it's become only 210 years. And from it, we done again a reduction, a discount. Only 86 years from those 400 was a hard slavery. So he said, now you can understand what the verse come to teach us. The verse come to teach us by that the verse start with the word Elohim, that attribute of judgment, and end up with the attribute of mercy to tell us that here HaKadosh Baruch Hu, nachon that he show like it's an attribute of what we call it judgment, harsh, but it's come to teach us that it's mercy. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu shortened the hard labor only to 86 years. It's amazing, amazing explanation. When I saw it, I said, I must share it with you. And then it says something very interesting. Look what it says in verse 3. In verse 3 it says, Vayeira el Avraham, el Yitzhak ve'el Yaakov, be'el Shaddai, u'shmi Adonai lo noda'ti lahem. Okay? Bechavod. Jeffrey, don't forget to unmute yourself. Bechavod.
Sorry. Okay. I appeared to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov as El Shaddai, but with my name Hashem, I did not make myself known to them.
What it means, I didn't make myself known to them. We have to understand. So we have to understand, first of all, what does it mean that the Almighty telling us in this verse that he appeared to Abraham, to Yitzhak, and to Yaakov? What's the Hidush here? We all know that HaKadosh Baruch Hu appeared to them. What is the Hidush? You know, you told me in Sefer Bereshit that HaKadosh Baruch Hu spoke to Avraham Avinu. In Parashat, what do you call it? In Parashat Lech Lecha, HaKadosh Baruch Hu tell him to leave. He spoke to him. Okay? And Yitzhak, he appeared to Yitzhak, don't leave the country, you should stay in the land of Eretz Canaan. Yaakov Avinu, he revealed himself to him. So what is the Hidush here? The Mefarshim ask. So Rashi HaKadosh said two words, El Avot, to the fathers. And immediately all the Mefarshim say, Rashi, what are you trying to tell us? We know that Avraham Avinu, Yitzhak Avinu, and Yaakov Avinu, they was the forefathers. What's the Hidush here that you tell me? To the fathers. What's El Avot, to the fathers? What's the Hidush here? So I saw a beautiful Hidush that they bring in the syllabus. The Hidush here that they're trying to tell us that Akadosh Baruch Hu, in the merit of each one of the forefathers, would redeem Bnei Israel from Egypt. We know that by that Akadosh Baruch Hu, okay, revealed to Avraham Avinu, okay, that Avraham Avinu was the first one in his own effort, revealed that he is Almighty, okay, without Akadosh Baruch Hu revealing himself to him. Avraham Avinu found out there must be a creator to the world, okay, and he was representing the attribute of Hesed, you know, kindness into the world. In a matter of that alone, HaKadosh Baruch Hu would redeem Bnei Israel. Yitzhak Avinu in the merit, okay, that he was willing to be sacrificed for the sake of the Almighty. Yaakov Avinu, that say that's something interesting. Yaakov Avinu was completed. Why? We know that from Avraham Avinu, he have two sons, Ishmael and Yitzhak, or better to say Yitzhak and Ishmael. Yitzhak Avinu also have two sons, Yaakov and Esau. So it wasn't always pure. It was always a little bit of chorus that they have. Come Yaakov Avinu and say, I was completed. All my 12 tribe was righteous. Shifteya, that means Yud-K of the Shvatim, Hakam HaKadosh Baruch Hu and put the letters Hey. I take an oath and witness, I'm a witness, that those 12 tribes was righteous. 12 righteous children came from who? From Yaakov Avinu. In the merit of that, Yaakov Avinu can redeem us. So now we can understand what it means. Vayeira el Avraham, el Yitzhak, ve'el Yaakov. That means in the merit that I appear to them, in the merit of each one of them, it was enough to redeem Bnei Israel. That was the Hidush that we see from that he said. I would like to jump to verse 20. And in verse 20, it says something very interesting. Look what it said. It said like this. No, let's move on. I'll tell you why, because I don't think that the time is going to be enough. Let's move to verse 26. Yes, 26 and 27. Look what it said. Hu Aaron ומשה, ומשה, אשר אמר אדוני להם, הוציאו את בני ישראל מארץ מצרים על צבאותם. הם המדברים אל פרעה, מלך מצרים, להוציא את בני ישראל ממצרים, הוא משה ואהרון.
This was the Aaron and Moshe to whom Hashem said, take the children of Israel out of the land of Egypt according to their legions. They were the ones who spoke to Pharaoh, the king of Egypt, to take the children of Israel out of Egypt. This was the Moses and Aaron.
What's the Hidush here? We have to understand what's happening. So to help us to understand the question, if you look at verse 1, verse 26, when I call it verse 1, it's verse 26. Verse 26 tells us something very interesting. What does it say in verse 26? In verse 26, the Torah tells us, Hu Moshe ve'Aaron. What it means, Hu Moshe ve'Aaron? That means first it's mentioned Moshe, okay? The Torah first mentioned Aharon, and then it's mentioned Moshe. In verse 27, it's again mentioned Moshe and Aharon. Why one time you mention Aharon before Moshe? The second verse, you mention Moshe first and then Aharon. What's the Hidush? So Rashi HaKadosh says something very important. Rashi HaKadosh says that Moshe and Aaron, and the character trait was level. That means Moshe was greatest, Aaron was greatest. They was both like a twin. When you have twin, Nachon that Aaron was older than Moshe by 3 years. But usually when you see a twin, their eyes look the same, their face look the same, you know? And the relationship between the twin is very difficult to separate between them. That was Moshe and Aaron, like there was a twin. That's on Pshat of the Dvarim. Rashi also explained that was on the same level of holiness and Kedusha. I saw another beautiful commentary that the Marana Bet Yosef, it's Rabbi Yosef Karo. Rabbi Yosef Karo born in a city of Toledo 534 years ago. And he said something extraordinary. Listen what he said. He said like this, Nachon, that Moshe Rabbeinu reached to a higher level. Velo kam navi b'Yisrael keMoshe od. The highest level. He brought the Torah down to Israel. He gone up to the mountain. Aaron, that was the Kohen Gadol and the older brother, respect him. When it's come to Moshe Rabbeinu respected Aaron because first of all, he was the older. Not only that, Moshe Rabbeinu respected his brother because he was a Kohen Gadol. And Moshe Rabbeinu said, you know what? My older brother is also Kohen Gadol. He's as good as me, if not even better. So it's come to teach you something extraordinary, said the Marana Bet Yosef. It's come to teach you that Moshe Rabbeinu treated his older brother, okay, with full respect. And the older brother, that's Aaron, respected Moshe Rabbeinu, his younger brother, with full respect. Said the Marana Bet Yosef, from here you can learn a very important message. There's a very important message for us. What is the message? Said the Mefarshim, learn from here that if Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron, that was brother, treated each other with such a respect, how much you have to respect your own wife. How much so you have to respect other people. To learn from Moshe and Aaron to respect one each other. And not just all the time to be arrogant and to think you the greatest. No, none of them even thought like that. And that's the message on that verse. Let's move to chapter 7. In chapter 7, verse 5. Chapter 7, verse 5. We're going to read something very interesting. וידעו מצרים, כי אני אדוני, בנתותי את ידי על מצרים, והוצאתי את בני ישראל מתוכם.
And Egypt shall know that I am Hashem, when I stretch out my hand over Egypt, and I shall take the children of Israel out from among them.
It say, Rashi HaKadosh say, what does it mean, et yadi, my hand? Listen what Rashi said. Yad mamash la'akot bahem. That means it's a really hand to bring the plagues on Egypt. That's what Rashi said. What is Rashi trying to tell us? I saw a beautiful commentary of the Or Sameach. Who was the Or Sameach? The Or Sameach was Rabbi Meir Simcha Cohen Mitvim. He born in the city of Torminos, that's in Lita. He born around 179 years ago, plus minus. In his book, Rashit Chochmah. Rashit Chochmah is a book that's been written by the Or Sameach. He said, you know what is it? He said that here, that Akadosh Baruch Hu actually show his wonders, okay? That all the plagues that he brought, by that he's going to bring all the 10 plagues on the Egyptian, the name of the Almighty going to be sanctified. He say, you know how? He say, how did Akadosh Baruch Hu, the name of the Almighty going to be sanctified? Because the entire world going to hear about the 10 plagues that Akadosh Baruch Hu brought on the Egyptian. By that Akadosh Baruch Hu show in every plague that he's in charge about the liquid, that's the dam. Tzfardea is whatever live inside the water. Kinim is life. That's something very small that you hardly see it, that grow inside the sand. And then HaKadosh Baruch Hu moved to every different plagues that he showed that he's in charge about the creator. He's in charge about all the material in the world. That means that every person, every animal, the liquid, whatever HaKadosh Baruch Hu punished the Egyptian and the 10 plagues, he's the creator. That means that it's like a material in the hands of the craftsman. HaKadosh Baruch Hu here, not only that he brought the plague on Egypt, in the end he redeemed the Jewish people. By that, the entire world will see the difference. And that's what it's true. Vayadou Mitzrayim, and the Egyptian will know, Ki Ani Hashem. That means the Egyptian will know that the plagues come for me. Everything is for me. V'hotzeti et bnei Israel, and then I'll take them out, the children of Israel, out of Egypt. Mitocham. What does it mean, mitocham? Amongst them, that the entire world will see the wonders and the miracle that HaKadosh Baruch Hu is the creator. That it's not only that he bring plagues, he also took Bnei Israel out of Egypt and redeemed them. That's a thing that's amazing, that the Pirush, okay, the commentary of the Or Sameach. Let's move on to verse 20, and now we're going to bring the Zerah Shimshon like we usually do. In verse 20, listen what it says, something very interesting. ויעשו כן משה ואהרון כאשר ציווה אדוני, וירם במטה, ויח את המים אשר ביאור לעיני פרעה ולעיני עבדיו, ויהפכו כל המים אשר ביאור לדם. בכבוד.
Moses and Aaron did so, as Hashem had commanded. He held the staff aloft and struck the water that was in the river, in the presence of Pharaoh, in the presence of his servants, and all the water that was in the river changed to blood.
Okay, so as you all know, we're going to speak a lot about the Makat Dam, and then we speak about also Makat Arov, Ezrat Hashem. Every year try to bring some ideas on different plagues. If you look at Makat Dam, Hazal tell us in the Midrash, Rabotai, that from the plague of Dam, that's in Shemot Rabbah, Midrash Shemot Rabbah, Hazal tell us that Bnei Israel from the plague of blood become rich. Okay, בסדר, עד פה we understand that they become rich. How did they become rich? Because the Egyptian needed to drink water. They couldn't drink water. They needed to buy the water from Bnei Israel, and that's how they become rich. בסדר. Until here, we all accept. Come the Zerah Shimshon and say, I don't understand. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, before he redeemed the Jewish people, we have to make them rich.
Rob, you're breaking up.
Sorry. Said the Zerah Shimshon, Rabbi Shimshon Nachmani. Rabbi Shimshon Nachmani wrote the book Zerah Shimshon. And in his book, he said, Rega, I don't understand. What is the chokhmah to make Bnei Israel rich before you redeem them? What are they going to do with the money? They're still in Egypt. What is the chokhmah on it? What is the idea that you have to make them rich? So many ideas came. There's many ideas. I'm going to bring the idea of the Zerah Shimshon. And he said like this. And we all know that Hazal tell us that Bnei Israel, first of all, you have to understand that before they're being taken to become slave was a decision that been asked by 3 advisors. Bnei Israel didn't just become slave just like this. How did they become slave? Listen to that. Was 3 advisors. Pharaoh has 3 advisors. The first advisor was, who was the first advisor? No, Rabotai, help me. No? You have Bilam, Iyov, okay, and Yitro. Bilam said, that's it, finish them, kill them. Yitro said, no, don't kill them. Benefit from them. First of all, take their money, make them poor, and then take them as slave. Yitro ran away. Say HaKadosh Baruch Hu, each one of you going to get the punishment. We saw that the punishment of Job was exactly midah keneged midah. HaKadosh Baruch Hu turned Iyov. Iyov was a rich man. He took the money from him. Okay? Then he brought on him a lot of sickness, boiled and everything. And then he also killed his kids because they've been drowned, the kids. No. Midah keneged midah. Said the Zera Shimshon, I will explain to you what's happening. You know why HaKadosh Baruch Hu needed to make Bnei Israel rich first? I'll tell you why. I'll tell you. Because there is here measure for measure. When they took Bnei Israel to slave, they first took their money. Now I'm going to bring the money back to Eretz Israel, to the Bnei Israel. They took him as slave. I'm going to bring the 10 plagues on him, measure for what they done to them. Nachon, that later on, Bnei Israel received the spoiled of the sea and the spoiled of Egypt. That's a different issue. The Mefarshim asked, okay, if you make them already rich, why do you have to bring them the spoil of the sea, the spoil on the sea of reeds, and the spoil of Egypt? What does it mean? Veshala isha mishchenta. That means that they're going to borrow from the Egyptian. What is the chokhmah? So said the Zera Shimshon, there is a secret here. In Brit Ben HaBetarim, in a covenant of the parts, HaKadosh Baruch Hu promised Avraham Avinu that when the children of Israel are going to leave, they're going to be rich. It had nothing to do with that the Egyptian took the money from Bnei Israel. Before they make them slave, they make them poor. Kadosh Baruch Hu is a measure for measure. Before I redeem my kids, I'll make them rich. After they make them slave, I bring the 10 plagues. I promise Avraham Avinu that when they leave, they're going to be in great spoil, and I make them to great nation. That's a different issue. Now, after they've been redeemed, they also got the money. So the Zera Shimshon, from here you learn why it was so important that Bnei Israel will be rich from the plague of blood, measure for measure, to teach the Egyptians that they can't do anything, okay, that they want in the world. But what's the message to everyone else in the world? Many nations think because they're in control, they can do whatever they want. Here's the source. Whatever you do, you're going to be punished for it. It's measure for measure. HaKadosh Baruch Hu lo mekapeh schar shum biriyah. That means the Almighty doesn't, okay, take anything from anyone that doesn't belong to him. And if you deserve to get it, HaKadosh Baruch Hu will get it for you, will bring it to you. And that's the Hidush here. Let's go to verse 22. And here we see something very interesting. Look what it says here in verse 22. The Torah tells us something very interesting. The Torah tells us like this, ויעשו כן חרטומי מצרים בלהטיהם, ויחזק לב פרעה ולא שמע אליהם כאשר דיבר אדוני. בכבוד. Jeffrey, I can't hear you. I don't know where is Jeffrey. I think
Sorry, got
Jeffrey.
it. The necromancers,
us.
the necromancers or the wizards of Egypt did the same by means of their incantations. So Pharaoh's heart was strong, and he did not heed them, as Hashem had spoken.
Okay. We have to understand why is the Torah tell us that the sorcerers also manage to turn the water to blood. What's the hidush here? Well, I mean, okay, so they done it. But why is the Torah tell us Vayeira chen? And they done similar. The Torah didn't tell us that they turn the water to blood. They done the same. What it means the same? It's very, very, we have to be very specific about every word in the Torah. I saw a beautiful commentary from Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh. Rabbi Moshe Al-Sheikh, born in the city of Andripoli in Turkey 515 years ago. And he says something extraordinary. He said, first of all, you have to understand that surfacely, look, if you look surfacely, it's look like the sorcerers done, okay, what Moshe and Aaron done. What is it mean? What did Moshe and Aaron done? Turn the water to what? To blood. Okay, he said, but it wasn't like this. It wasn't like this at all. Forget about it. I'll prove it to you, and I'm going to bring you 3 different ideas. Sorry, I'm just sorting up all my notes here. That it wasn't the same. And he said like this. He said like this. Listen what he said. He said something extraordinary. He said, if you take the plague of blood, it's looked like the sorcerers manage, okay, to create the water, to turn the water to blood. He said, no. What's happened, that the sorcerers turned the color of the water to red, but you still drank water. It wasn't blood that you're drinking. That's mean that it looked like blood, but it still was drinkable. Well, when in a plague that Moshe Rabbeinu and Aaron done, it's turned properly to blood. They couldn't drink it. Another idea is that bring the Al-Sheikh HaKadosh, and he says that the sorcerers managed to turn the water to red. It's only in water that was standing still. But if it was a river or stream or lake, that the water flowing, that still stay blood. They couldn't turn it. That means that the sorcerers only can do it in water that's standing still. And that was the difference. Say, Del Sheikh HaKadosh, I'll bring you another different idea. And he said like this, that the sorcerers, when they make the sorcery to change the water to red, it was only in Egypt. Okay? That the water that was standing still next to them, but in the rest of the place, okay, that was Egyptian all over the world, that was traveling, there they couldn't change the water to blood. He said, but on the plague of Moshe Rabbeinu, it did change. Not only that, listen to that. He said like this. He said that if the Jewish person hold a cup, okay, and the Egyptian wanted to drink from it, while it was in the hand of the Jewish people, it was water. As the Egyptian grabbed it from him, it's turned to blood. But when the Egyptian was willing to pay, now, when he took the cup, it turned to water. He said that's the difference between what HaKadosh Baruch Hu done on a plague of blood compared to what the sorcerers done. Because the sorcerers, when they changed the water, it was always red. Even if the Jewish person held it or the Egyptian, it didn't change its color from one hand to another. So it wasn't blood. The blood was that when the Jewish person that held the cup, it was water, it's been grabbed by the Egyptian, which turned to blood. But if he paid, the water stayed water. And that was the great idea. He said that's the difference between what the sorceress done and what Moshe Rabbeinu done in a plague of Makat Dam, in a plague of water. I would like to move on. What's the time? Whoa, we're running very, very late. It's 10 to 9. I would like to move on actually to the plague of, you know what, I'll move on. Chapter 8, verse 20. Let's do chapter 8, verse 20. We speak about Makat Arov, okay? Let's see what it say here. It say, ויעש אדוני כן, ויבוא ערוב כבד, בית הפרעה ובית עבדיו, ובכל ארץ מצרים תשחט הארץ מפני הערוב. בכבוד.
Hashem did so, and a severe swarm of wild beasts came to the house of Pharaoh and the house of his servants, and throughout the land of Egypt. The land was being ruined because of the swarm.
Okay. Here we learn about Makat Arov. And if you look, Makat Arov, it's the only plague, Rabotai, look at that have a different name. It's called Arov. It doesn't call the wild beast. Nachon, that in English they translated to wild beast. But in Hebrew, it's called Makat Arov. What is the Hidush? Why doesn't call the plague of the wild beast? What it mean, the plague of the wild beast? Makat Ahayot HaTrofot. The plagues of the wild beast. No, it's a Makat Arov. Why did they call it Makat Arov? Why Dafka Arov? Arov doesn't mean anything about wild beasts in Hebrew. Why do they call it Makat Arov? That's one of the questions of many of the Mefarshim ask. What was the idea behind it? So listen, Arov, it's Milshun Ervuvia. Ervuvia is a mix. That means that here Akadosh Baruch Hu mixed all the wild animal to come to Egypt to do their job, to buy, to kill, you know, whatever they have to do. What does it mean, Ervuvia? Come the Zohar Kadosh said, no. That's on a pshat of the Dvarim that you told me that it's a mixed animal. I accept. But I'll tell you why is it called Makat Arov. You know why is it called Makat Arov? Why does it mean Ervuvia, a mix? I'll explain. It says, listen, שיתערבבו רזי החוכמה. What it means, שיתערבבו רזי החוכמה? Listen to that. The Zohar said that HaKadosh Baruch Hu mixed the wisdom, okay, of knowledge. Me, the Mefarshim. HaKadosh Baruch Hu mixed the wisdom of knowledge. So yeah, that's exactly what is it. Okay, we have to understand. First of all, we explain one is it's called mixing. I will explain. I didn't explain it yet. I just explained what the Zohar said. Then we have to understand that in Makat Arov, the sorcerers didn't try to create any more sorcerers. Why? Also in Makat Kinim, they couldn't. But in Makat Kinim, they say, Etzba Elokimhi. Why it means Etzba Elokimhi? This is the finger of the Almighty. That means that plague is only from the Almighty. The Almighty created. Why? Because the size of the lice was very small. And the witchcrafting, just for general knowledge, cannot make something less than 20 cents coin. If it's less than 20 cents coins, they can't create a witchcrafting. Said the Zohar Kadosh, come, I'll explain to you what's happening. You know what is it called? Ervuvia, the mix of the wisdom of knowledge, because the sorcerers of Egypt, they were sorcerers and witchcrafters. They knew the name of the angels of every animal, the wild animal, the wild beast, the wild snake, okay, the predators, the, what do you call it, flying animals, you know, the birds. They knew the name. Akadosh Baruch Hu, when he brought Makat Arov on Egypt, a day before, he changed the angel's name. That's mean that, said the Zera Shimshon, the sorcerers didn't know where to start. When they start to call the name, they saw that no one answering them. Those angels that they knew, HaKadosh Baruch Hu changed their name and changed their job. So when the wild beasts came on Egypt, they knew that they don't have a chance. So they didn't even try, okay, to create or to stop or to do something similar. Said the Zohar Kadosh, from here you can understand what it means. Ervuvia. Ervuvia is a mix. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu mixed the wisdom of knowledge, the name of the angel in heaven. Because every animal, good or bad, have a name, okay, that's in charge. And that angels, he's in charge about certain animals. The same like there's an angel that's in charge about every nation. And when the angel of that nation lost string, that nation lost the string. If that angel disappear, that nation will disappear. And that's what you see, that sometimes there's war in the world. And country win, country lose. So you're going to say, how come that the Jewish people never lose? Because we don't have angel, we have a Kadosh Baruch Hu. That will help you to understand where the Jewish people get the strength, because HaKadosh Baruch Hu stand behind us. Say something very interesting. Continue the Zohar HaKadosh and say, now you can understand why the sorcerers of Egypt decide that's it, I can't do nothing. You know why? Because by that the strength of the sorcerers was by what? That witchcrafting, that's mean all the evil forces, and then you the name of every angel that in charge about the animal, they have the strength to make him obey their commands. But now that HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely changed everything, said the Zohar Kadosh, they didn't have any more control, said the Zera Shimshon, and that's why Dafka in Makat Arov, HaKadosh Baruch Hu completely confused the sorcerers. What is he done? Okay, he completely mixed the name of the animals all over the world, the name of the angels, by that the sorcerers couldn't do anything anymore. Okay, and I would like to do one more thing. What's the time? 9? No, we're not going to do any more because it's an hour. I don't want to take any more of your time. Now it's time for question. So, Be'ezrat Hashem, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will show us the miracle that he showed Bnei Israel in Egypt. He'll show us soon. And Hazal say that when you see things difficult in the world, Rabotai, and I say dafka to you because in South Africa we have a lot of challenges. Hakelo, wait for him. That means when you see things difficult in the world, you must wait. Like our friend Dr. Les say, you know, this problem that they have politically in Israel. There's a lot of challenges all over the world. Hakela, wait for him. That means you must expect the Mashiach. Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should merit to see the Mashiach speedily in our day. Amen. Any question, Bechavot, to those of you that want to ask questions regarding the Parsha? I prepare much more, but because the time is very late, I don't want to delay it, because I'm sure that you have a lot of things to do before the load shedding at 10. Bechavot, those of you that want to ask questions.
Hello, it's Annie. How are you?
Erev Tov, Antonio, how are you?
Right, how are you? Keeping well?
Good, good, good. Yes, Anthony. Chavod.
Why some of the plagues in this parsha and some in Parashat Bo? Why aren't they all in one parsha?
I think
Why do they
that
have
the idea is that because here in this parsha, first of all, you must understand.
3 in the next parsha?
I know. In this parsha 7, in the next parsha 3, to get us 10. You must understand, in the Torah, you must understand, there is no parshiot. The parshiot, okay, who made the parshiot? Hazal. They make the parshiot, but in the Torah, it's one Torah. So the Hazal separated. Why did Hazal separate the Makot? Okay, to let us understand and to absorb, okay, the 7 plagues that HaKadosh Baruch Hu brought on the Egyptian, and then the last 3 Makot, that was very difficult Makot. Beseder? Beseder?
Thanks very much.
Pleasure. Eitan, you wanted to ask. Bechavod, Eitan, just unmute yourself.
Shalom, Rav. How are you doing?
Baruch Hashem, it's nice to hear you. A long time.
Thank you. Thank you.
I
Thank
missed
you. Thank you.
I missed you.
Thank you.
Bechavod.
Bechavod. So the Rav touched on the fact of, you know, what's happening in South Africa. I missed a little bit of it, but I just like to get more understanding of that, because I think, you know, the Torah is chai, is in our time, is living as today, like you said, you know, the Torahs that we're going through, whatever. Can you give us more info, like understanding or support, or just some motivation, you know, going through this, particularly with, you know, with you know, like load shedding or the crime, the economy. I mean, obviously, you know, you don't want to see these as plagues, obviously, but is there more that we can take home and understand why this is happening to us besides the birth pains of Mashiach, but something we can take home in the sense of how we can do any tshuva, or something we should look at specifically, you know, in those days, you know, when they knew exactly what was wrong. I'm not saying that we should know, but when it's particularly with load shedding, with electricity or something, the Rabbonim, are they talking about exactly what we should be doing in our lives today to bring? I mean, we had some you know, very bad news with some young people dying recently. You know, it's a lot of, you know, normally you hear that stuff in the 3 weeks, or, you know, around the times when it's more thing. But now, like, you know, in the new year, well, the Goyish year, you know, we've heard so many people who've passed away recently, young people, you know, and it's like, together with everything, it's something that we can take this week on Shabbos to say, you know, if I do this extra, if I do something that, yeah.
I want first of all to make sure that you all understand, I'm not a prophet, I'm not son of a prophet. So I'm not even trying to say that I'm a prophet, but I'm going to try to explain what's our greatest Rabbi explained. Eitan, I missed you. You're breaking. Eitan, you're breaking.
No, I'm not talking. I put on mute.
So someone else talking, and it's disturbing. I'm going to mute everyone. Sorry, I'm going to mute everyone.
I put myself on mute, so I don't know.
Yeah. I'm going to mute everyone, and I'm going to answer. Okay. So first of all, as I say, I'm not a prophet, and I'm not a son of a prophet. But I can tell you what Hazal explained to us. Every country have their own challenge. Every country have their own challenge. In South Africa, we have a challenge now of corruption, load shedding, crime that we have for a long time. And other countries have war. You know, if you look at Russia and Ukraine, they have war. In Europe, they have different challenges. In Israel, we have different challenges. We have different with our cousin. You know, we have different challenges. Everyone have challenges. Why Dafka in South Africa load shedding? I don't know. I can't tell you why Dafka load shed. But the Zohar HaKadosh explained that before the Mashiach come, will be such a chaos that we have to work on our emunah. What is the emunah? He said like this, that the challenges that the older nation gonna have, that they're gonna get what they never got. Every nation gets what they never got. Why? That when the Mashiach come, they cannot come and complain to him, you didn't give us a chance. That means the angel of that nation cannot come later on and say, if I would be the government, you know, we have apartheid here, we have that, we would do different. Kadosh Baruch Hu say, you complain, I'll give you the same chance. But because of that when the Mashiach come, HaKadosh Baruch Hu want the Mashiach to be in charge in the world. What does it mean the Mashiach, the job of the Mashiach? The job of the Mashiach is going to be the job that he's going to be the leader of the 70 nations in the world. That he's going to turn the world and take all the evilness that exists in this world and turn it to good. And who's going to vote for him? Who's going to vote for the Mashiach? The nation himself. So who's going to deal with the Jewish people? Said the Zohar HaKadosh, the Almighty. He's going to look after them. It's going to be a stage. It's not going to be in 1 second, but it's going to be stages. That means all what we see in the world, all of those difficulties that happen in the world, the challenges that every country have, the challenges that people have in this world at the moment, and they're getting worse and worse than it's ever happened before. It's just to show us that the Mashiach is close and to make sure that when the Mashiach comes, okay, they don't gonna say, they're not gonna have an alibi to say, if we was there, we would do better. I've given you the chance to do better. What did you done? You turn your country to whatever you turn. You know, South Americans have challenges with drugs. I mean, not that they don't have drugs anywhere else in the world. Anywhere in the world there is drugs. But that's the capital where everything starts from. Kadosh Baruch Hu said to them, I've given you everything. What did you done? You took it and you created whatever you created. So the challenges is that now we have to have emunah. How are we going to change that? Only by lifting up our eyes to the Almighty. Many people think if it's going to, the DA going to come or the Shmi A going to come, it's going to change, you know. Nachon, that we have to daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu for the peace of the government, decent government. We have to daven. Because we have to understand, but HaKadosh Baruch Hu, you in charge. We want you to send us the real leader. The leader that can change things from bad to good. By that we're saying, HaKadosh Baruch Hu, listen, the DA should come. Don't tell him what to do. You know exactly what to do. You have to daven to Torah, to worship him with better strength. That means we have to ask HaKadosh Baruch Hu to send us the true leader. Okay? And not to believe in all different parties. Different parties is not for us. We have to believe in our Torah, in the emunah. That HaKadosh Baruch Hu can change at any minute. And the same that the load shedding came in such a light speed, HaKadosh Baruch Hu can make it. And we all know that it's corrupt. Nothing we can do. But we have to work on ourselves. To daven to HaKadosh Baruch Hu that he will change That's kind of a decree that there is at the moment. The crime, the corruption. And we have to be strong in our emunah, davening more, studying Torah more, doing kindness more. That's what HaKadosh Baruch Hu wants from us. The rest, leave it to me, HaKadosh Baruch Hu. I'll sort it out. You'll do what you have to do. The rest, leave it to me. And Be'ezrat Hashem, that we should have the wisdom and the strength to do that, and not to fall and to the trap of Yetzer Hara that mislead us. I must do that. I must put my faith on that. No, leave your faith in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Be'ezrat Hashem, He will do that. But Eitan, I want to give you a string. I have a video. If you want, I'll send it to you. That the Rebbe, Kopol Bachar, that I know Kopol Bachar personally, in 1994, gone to the Rebbe, and he asked him, listen, it's going to be a change in South Africa. What's going to happen to the Jews of South Africa? And the word of the Rebbe was like this: tell the Jews in South Africa, the thing will be good for them until the Mashiach comes, and even better after the Mashiach comes. So if you want, I can forward you that video. Whoever wants to see that video to get the hizb. And if the Rebbe said he was the greatest man, you know, not everyone said that he's a Rebbe. It was only one Rebbe, you know. And if he said that, please God, that his words going to give us a big string. So if anyone wants, I'm more than welcome to forward that video. Any other question?
Good evening, Rav. Just like to
make
how are you? A bit of an observation. Firstly, missed you. And then number two, we've just you mentioned a very big take by, is it Chaim Ben Natav, regarding the bondage. It looked like a bondage of judgment, but was in fact, he says, is actually merciful, because we were going to be redeemed, and perhaps, because the question with begs asking, what did the Jews do wrong to even have to have a bondage? There must have been, because someone just planted on them. So, but this answer, but it was merciful. Yes, it makes sense that they couldn't see it at the time, but it was merciful. Now, what did they actually do that caused the hard bondage? Number one, for 86 years, and we explained from the time of Miriam, and however, the worst bondage, or the worst problem came when Moshe went and Aaron went to tell, and Pharaoh took the store away from the bricks, and now they had to build cities without straw. They had to go and collect it themselves. That was the real bondage. That was a real hardship, which was that tipped the scales in favor of redemption to come out at that time. But what was it in the first place? What that they deserved all those years of suffering?
Okay, so in a covenant of part, HaKadosh Baruch Hu said that they're going to go for slavery. That's on Pshat of the Dvarim. Pshat of the Dvarim. But let's understand in the depths. I'll tell you, you know, I was visited. The main reason that I gone to Israel is to see my dad. My dad is, Baruch Hashem, and he's 80, please God, 220. And I was sitting with his friends. He have a group of friends, and they all retired, and we were sitting, and one of his friends said to me, listen, I don't understand. I want you to explain to me one thing about the Parsha. And he spoke about the previous Parsha. That will help us to understand. He said in the Parsha, it said, Vayakom melech hadash al Mitzrayim asher lo yada et Yosef. He said, can you explain that to me? How can it be that a new king suddenly stood for Egypt and didn't know Yosef HaTzadik? Vayakom melech hadash al Mitzrayim asher lo yada et Yosef. I said to him, look, on a pshat of the Dvarim, Rashi said, that it was a really new king that didn't know him. Another opinion that Rashi said that he pretended that he didn't know him. He said to me, I understand that, but that's not good enough for me. So immediately I understand that he doesn't want bones, you want meat. I said, no problem. I will explain to you, I will try. And I said to him like this. And I brought him the opinion of the Zera Shimshon. The Zera Shimshon say, what it means Asher lo yada et Yosef, that didn't know Yosef. Listen to that. Said the Zera Shimshon, what was the attribute of Yosef HaTzadik? That he was a righteous man. What it mean a righteous man? Yosef HaTzadik, everything about him was about Kedusha, about holiness. He never sinned with Potiphar's wife. He never sinned with idolatry. Everything with him, it was Kedushat HaBrit. What it means, Kedushat HaBrit? The Brit Milah. He couldn't stand people that not circumcised next to him. We explained that in previous show. Said the Zera Shimshon, when the last member of the tribe, that was Levy, that he died at the age of 130, the Jewish people in Egypt, Bnei Israel, start losing the connection, the bondage to Yiddishkeit. They start marrying out of the faith. They start to have intermarriage. The next thing, they stop doing Brit Milah. Sefer 08, Vachabiki. Yosef HaTzadik, everything about him is about holiness, about the covenant that they have with the Almighty to have Brit Milah, circumcised. The Jewish people are not allowed to marry out of the faith because when Bnei Israel was in Goshen, they kept the tradition. Now suddenly they're not. He put them into slavery. Said the Zera Shimshon, I will prove it to you. One tribe never was in slavery. Which tribe is that? We all know it, tribe of Levy. Why? Because the tribe of Levy kept the Kedusha. They kept the holiness. The tribe of Levy, not only that they kept the holiness, okay, they were studying Torah. Separo, those tribes, they're from the tribe of Yosef. I can't touch them. Those that behave like us, they're not us. Therefore, I'll put them to slavery. Do you understand?
Yes, yes.
You understand what that's going? So when you're doing Kiddush on a Goy, the Kiddush will do Havdalah. When you do Havdalah from the Goy will do Kiddush on you. You understand what I'm saying?
Yes, yes.
If you're doing Havdalah, what it means Havdalah? To separate between you and the Goy. I'm different to you. The Goy will respect that. And he'll do Kiddush on you. He will sanctify you. But when you do Kiddush on a Goy, when you say to the Gentile, I'm like you, the Gentile will say, I will do the division between us. And that's why Bnei Israel needed to go to slavery. Besides that, it was the verdict that HaKadosh Baruch Hu put in a covenant, okay, of the parts that he told Abraham Avinu, that there will be 400 years of slave. That's mean that if we would behave, the decree wouldn't happen. But when we didn't want to do separate between us as Jews to the Goyim, they made it. But when we separated, when Shevet Levy said, no, we Jewish, we, the Holy One, said, Pharaoh, you don't have to work. You don't have to be in slavery. Beseder?
Yeah, beseder. One last question, Rav. Yes, a very important one for me is that you talk about the swarm of the animals, the wild beasts, the mixed wisdom of knowledge, the things which happened. Has this Aruvia anything to do with what happened to the Jewish people? There was a big mixture that we call it, you called it the Aruvia, The Ruvia
Eruvia.
now, is that connected with Erev Rav? Is that a mix? What was happened to our people? They had mixed, and things had become very mixed amongst a lot of our people, which came out.
Jeff, you always love to put a bomb, huh? Okay. you love to put a bomb. Let me explain. You have to understand that when we have a major sanctifies us as Jews, by that we show our tradition and we're not shy and we're not embarrassed to say that we're Jewish, everyone will respect us. Everyone will sanctify us. But by that we allowed other people to join us, if it's a reform, what they're doing, we weaken our strength. And that's when the mixture come and the disaster come with that. If you have a platoon and you're going to ambush, if one guy is scared, the entire platoon can lose the motivation. Because that person that's scared, he can put the fear in each member of the platoon. And the chances that that operation will be succeeded, very little.
Yeah.
When we allowed cracks in our religion, that means a lot of things gonna penetrate and shake the boat. Do you follow?
Yeah.
If we allowed rabbis or people to become rabbis, so-to-call rabbis, from reform, that want to change our religion, that want to change what we receive from HaKadosh Baruch Hu, our holy Torah, what are we doing? What are we doing? And the rest, you know, that's the problem.
Yeah. So it was a change of what was happening in Egypt. It brought out certain negativities out. And because of that, it created the idol. It became, it penetrated. And therefore our 40 years in the desert to get rid of it.
And I'll tell you something else. As I was saying, Makat Arov, in the plague of Arov, many of the sorcerers, listen to that, many of the sorcerers said the Zohar and said the Rabbi Shimshon Haim Nachmani ben Rav Michael, that many of those sorcerers, when they saw the truth, they converted. They start believing in HaKadosh Baruch Hu. And they left Egypt with Bnei Israel.
Right.
But that's when you show the light. But Chas v'Shalom, when you want to become like them,
it becomes the mixed mush. Yeah. Thank you.
Pleasure. Any other question, Rabotai? No. Okay, I know that the time is late. Sorry. Any question? No. I would like to take the opportunity to wish each one of you a beautiful evening. I know that you have half an hour or 35 minutes before the next load shedding. Be'ezrat Hashem, with HaKadosh Baruch Hu will have mercy on all the Jewish people in South Africa, that HaKadosh Baruch Hu will change, you know, יהפוך את ליבם, ויהפוך את הרעה לטובה, that he will change the heart and will change the negativity, that's the wrong, to good, Be'ezrat Hashem, and will be light.
Amen.
Okay? And the hand of HaKadosh Baruch Hu, it's not short on doing miracle. Be'ezrat Hashem, it will happen.
Amen.
In the meantime, I would like to bless each one of you. First of all, thank you for joining us this evening. And second of all, to wish all of you Shabbat Shalom. And please God, we'll be in touch next week. All the best. Have a good night, everyone. Shabbat Shalom.
Lech lech shalom. Thank you.
All the best. All the best. Good night, everyone.
Bye.
Thank you for joining us.